In the midst of the backdrop to Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo's fight between DABURA and Mahoraga, one could be forgiven for mistaking DABURA as potentially lost. Seemingly drowning in memories and grief after the loss of his best friend, trapped by the rigid embedded societal hierarchies of the culture of Samuria in a fight that he fights against his will and fearful for his sister's safety, he was hamstrung by a lot of the elements that have caused the downfall of characters in Jujutsu Kaisen before. Fear, isolation, disillusionment, a lack of freedom, and a capability in combat in combination with those that could potentially be a slippery slope towards self-destruction. But as things progress, it becomes clear that the more this celebration of shonen in fight form goes on, the more obvious it is that DABURA, more than virtually every character in Jujutsu Kaisen, is an exception. He is an exception in that he totally embodies all that Todo imparted upon Yuji. Unbound by limitations, never truly defeated as long as his ideals remain, and constantly willing to reinvent and humble himself, inspired in a situation that would lead others to despair. Embracing strength, memories, connections, and all the responsibilities that are encapsulated therein, DABURA is symbolically and thematically on a different level from anyone else in the series in that he has all that they lack. And as a result, he is Jujutsu Kaisen's ideal, ahead of the likes of Gojo, Sukuna, and even Yuji. In this incredible fight, DABURA displays an unbelievable ability to learn and evolve to adapt to his adversary, a complete flipping of the script in response. Whereas Mahoraga is the embodiment of the apex of human evolution meant to be adaptive enough to grow to combat and defeat anything, in this case, DABURA had become the one capable of showing masterful, exquisite learning to adapt to Mahoraga. And that is because DABURA is the character most open and all-encompassing of the ideas that the story espouses, making him the most capable of adapting to the unadaptable. He grows in strength, sacrifices the old, and evolves and actualizes to see that true power is far more than brute strength and a selfish pursuit to stand above others. Because while the likes of Sukuna and Gojo had been shown to possess absolutely divine power throughout the series, they both learned that they had cast significant things aside: the ability to be empathized with and understood, the ability to connect with others and the values of that, in order to stand atop the world. They lacked the mundane, human perspective to properly be able to understand the beauty of bonds and how they can empower and accentuate one's strength far more than any given talent. This is how Yuji combated Sukuna at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, and this is something DABURA is able to intuit as everything comes together in the fight with Mahoraga, weaponizing the raw humility, compassion, wisdom, and understanding that Yuji formed throughout the series. DABURA has the divine strength to rival Sukuna and Gojo without the blind spot of the loneliness that often pervades that pursuit. He is able to bring together that otherworldly power with the intent to fight for one's connections, empowered by bonds and memories to protect. Whether he is fueled by love for his home and what it stands for, or for his people, specifically his sister and Duda and the beautiful philosophy of harmony that he imparted, or for a genuine love for combat and all that one can communicate and express through it, how it allows one to reach the pinnacle. Regardless, DABURA takes in every perspective and values all that life is. He is open to different kinds of strength, not just the type of strength that Sukuna knew, and he is able to not leave anything behind in his conquest as Gojo did. As expanded upon in Modulo, even Yuji, who surpassed Sukuna and Gojo in many ways, became disillusioned and lost. Resigned to becoming a cog, overwhelmed by loss and the horrific nature of the world in spite of how he positively changed it. His "it doesn't matter" moment is incredibly layered and interpretive, but I think that one thing we can take away for certain from it is that Yuji had significantly lost faith in the world and a spark for life. But for DABURA, it does matter. Yuji is the personified thesis of Jujutsu Kaisen, but he is so because he shows the human vulnerabilities that result from being burdened by not valuing oneself and losing oneself in the horrors. and he is thankfully able to overcome all of this and reconcile at the end of Modulo, but only after decades of a slow but steady spiritual decay. And I don't think you can fully conceptualize Yuji without taking into account this significant loss of spirit. However, while Dabura did indeed dwell in sadness and was without doubt victim to the whims of the world, he is able to transcend all of the thematic hurdles in the series in a single moment, where he threads the needle, blossoms, and understands everything. He is able to stay grounded, comprehend why he's fighting, be empowered by differing types of strength, shoulder legacies and wishes and not be burdened by them, and use it all to defy and change an unjust world, rather than be weighed down by it, with the exclamation point being his ability to subvert all understanding to combat a god of evolution and beat it at its own game. Or to more or less draw with it, but you get my meaning. All that was a curse for others became a blessing for Dabura, because in learning and intuiting the answers to the darkness of the world, he embodies the ideal of Jujutsu Kaisen's messages, the answer to the blind spots in every strongest character's mentality. So for him, even dwelling in the sadness in the wake of Dura's farewell, even fearing for his sister, even if he didn't realize it, at every point in his life, everything did matter, and he refused to be dehumanized. And while Yuji is the more relatable, human embodiment of Jujutsu Kaisen's thesis, while Gojo is the complex and tragic epitome of strength and loss, and while Sukuna is the perfect antithesis, Dabura represents the ideal who never once lost himself. The ideal who never found himself living life with a huge blind spot like Sukuna, never found himself lamenting his inability to connect with others like Gojo, and never found himself becoming overwhelmed and lost like Yuji. He represents the self-actualization that all strive for, fulfilled by fighting for what he believes in, spurred on by connections, and never quite losing faith in the world. For him, battle and all that it stands for encourages him not into suffering or desolation or a one-minded philosophy, but transcendent fulfillment to protect the people, values, and legacies that form him. While the story and world of Jujutsu Kaisen were molded by Sukuna's philosophy and caused the likes of Gojo to adhere to it in a hollow way, Yuji put a stop to that and reformed the world through defeating Sukuna, paving the way for Dabura's holistic outlook to reign supreme, which funnily enough coincides with him finding his hope again. And at the end, Dabura is not left forlorn and alone, but resolute, empowered, and with the potential of love on the horizon. The true strongest ideal in Jujutsu Kaisen, one who uses combat not as a selfish hedonistic release, but as an expression of communication and sentiment, embodying shonen itself. One who does not lose himself in grief, but celebrates life as all should. And one who, above all, reflects the joy of expression and pure unbridled hope that this story came to represent, especially through the addition of Modulo. Many thanks for watching.